These stars served our force as well as the Japs, in that it helped the attacking destroyers to check the location of our cruisers. Destroyer Division 46 is closing rapidly on the central enemy ships while being fired upon by the northern group. Spence receives a hit at the waterline, permitting salt water to enter a fuel tank. At this point, CIC on Spence reported the center group on which they had been closing to be friendly. With no time to investigate, the division commander immediately swings his ship and heads for the northern group, which is firing on him. Division 46 has had 4 distressing mishaps in quick succession before firing a shot. A ship wandered from formation. A ship torpedoed and out of action. A collision. And a shell hit. This, coupled with the confusion occasioned by radical changes of course at high speed, had very likely disoriented CIC. Because of poor identification, a golden opportunity was lost. On the Montpelier, pips indicating Division 46 merged with those of the center enemy group. From this time on, there was doubt as to the identity of ships near this bearing. Too much emphasis cannot be paid to the efficient operation of the IFF system and dispersed groups informing OTC of their location. During the next 10 minutes, the enemy illumination steadily improved, as did his shooting. The 3 leading cruisers were straddled in range, salvo after salvo. Most of these salvos were a matter of feet to the right, so close that the ships were running through the splashes and probably creating the impression in the alleged minds of the nips that they were on in deflection. These salvos averaged in pattern from 1 to 200 yards. One salvo landed less than 100 yards ahead of the Montpelier, but most of those fired at her were overs. Between 03:20 and 25, Denver receives 3 8-inch hits. She was straddled in range and deflection by 5 successive salvos and was forced to turn out of formation, although she continued to fire at increased range. Turn 2 was executed to throw off the enemy's fire control, though all ships were zigzagging independently for the same purpose. As for our gunfire, it was superb. Our ships were hitting continuously, a fact most evident on an extremely dark night. The results obtained by our gun batteries under full radar control has been most gratifying. Frequent offset practices for ballistic corrections at long ranges pay dividends. Cruiser Division is ordered to make smoke, both chemical and funnel. The effectiveness of the enemy's fire fell off at once, while our own continued at a high rate. It was obvious from the many shell bursts seen on his ships to the south that the enemy was taking terrific punishment. 4 large explosions were observed, and 1 ship was reported to have blown up completely. At this time, the rain had ceased, but a heavy bank of clouds hung over the formation at about 1,500 feet. As the enemy's brilliant star shells broke through, the ceiling of clouds acted as a reflector and enhanced the intensity of the illumination. The effect of the smoke was to fill this space completely. Division 46 approached the 3 remaining ships of the northern group. 1, a cruiser, was disabled and steaming slowly in circles. The other 2 were retiring to the northwest. The 4th ship of this group, a destroyer, had sunk as a result of torpedo and gun hits. At a range of 6,000 yards, Division 46 fired 8 torpedoes at the cruiser and took up pursuit of the two destroyers retiring to the northwest. At about the time torpedoes should have arrived at the target, two underwater explosions were felt by personnel in CIC on the Spence, but topsides reported that no flashes were seen. Division 45 is also closing on the crippled cruiser and is tracking contacts believed to be enemy ships retiring to the northwest. At 03:49, they opened up on the cruiser and hit it consistently at 7,000 yards for 1.5 minutes, but continued their chase after the fleeing ships. It is evident that Division 45 was chasing Division 46. Due to inoperative condition of IFF on the destroyers, much valuable time was wasted at a critical period and created the possibility of firing at our own ships. It is regretted that both destroyer divisions attacked the same enemy group. Otherwise, enemy losses might have been greater. However, neither of the commanders knew that both divisions had concentrated on the northern group until the composite track chart was constructed 2 weeks after the battle. At 03:44, our cruisers had stopped making smoke as all enemy ships were retiring. Montpelier attempted to illuminate her cripple of the southern group with star shells, but the illumination was not effective. More effective star shells are in production. A greatly improved performance can be expected with a recent modification. Montpelier ceases firing on her target, which is dead in the water. The ship is believed to be a destroyer. The cruisers came to course 240 to close this cripple, which is smoking heavily. The Pip shortly thereafter disappears from the screen. He may have sunk, but could have been another contact picked up later a few miles to the west and reported by Columbia to have exploded. Cruisers come to course north. These radical changes of course are intended to frustrate torpedo fire from enemy cripples. To the everlasting credit of the cruiser captains, during more than an hour of violent maneuvering, amidst deafening din of battle, not once was the formation in any way confused nor disrupted. At 03:52, Destroyer Division 46, having closed the enemy to 3,000 yards, changes course to the left and fires 19 torpedoes. About 2 minutes later, 2 explosions are felt, and a single column of black smoke rose from the target group. Again, no flashes of explosions were noted. The division opened to 7,000 yards and changed course to the west to cross the enemy T from astern, and at 03:58 opened fire. Spence's first salvo was seen to go over on the radar screen, but second and subsequent salvos appeared to land in the center of target.